The day they outlawed violence across all 743 member species of the Galactic Council, I thought we had finally achieved something resembling civilization. My name is Krell, and I serve as a conflict mediator for the Council. I have 16 years of experience, 3 commendations, and absolutely zero preparation for what was about to walk through my door. And that would be Marcus Webb. Now let me explain something about Council Law 47, subsection Delta, also known as the Universal Non-Aggression Accord. Every species signed it, every single one. The Crothians, who settled disputes by ripping each other's limbs off. The Velkatari, whose idea of negotiation involved acid spit. Even the humans, who had a disturbingly creative history of finding new ways to hurt each other. Everyone agreed. No more physical violence, no weapons, no harm to sentient beings. Period. The penalties were severe. Exile to the outer fringe. Immediate ejection from all trade agreements. Complete economic isolation. No species wanted that. So we all became civilized overnight. Right? Wrong. So wrong. Marcus Webb showed up at Council Station 47 on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays are usually quiet. The waiting room held the usual mix of complainants, a Blorgian merchant disputing a contract, 2 Thalaxians arguing over territory boundaries, a Crothian couple seeking relationship counseling, which, trust me, you do not want to witness. Then the door slid open, and in walked this human. He was average height for his species. Brown hair, dark eyes, wearing what humans call business casual, slacks and a button-up shirt, completely unremarkable. He carried a briefcase. A briefcase. Who even uses those anymore? Mr. Webb? I checked my datapad. You filed a complaint against, let me see here, Commander Threx of the Gordanian Defense Fleet. That's correct? He sat down across from my desk, placed his briefcase carefully on his lap and smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that made my upper sensory stalks twitch with unease. And the nature of your complaint? Commander Threx destroyed my cargo ship, killed my crew of 17, and stole approximately 4 million credits worth of refined titanium. I set down my datapad. This was serious. That's a significant accusation. However, Mr. Webb, you understand that under the Non-Aggression Accord, you cannot seek violent retaliation. Oh, I understand perfectly. That smile again. Wider this time. I have absolutely no intention of committing violence. Something in his tone made my third stomach clench. I have learned over 16 years to trust that feeling. The Gordanians have diplomatic immunity, I continued. Commander Threx is a decorated military officer. Without substantial proof, this tribunal can— Marcus opened his briefcase. Inside were datapads. Dozens of them. He selected one and slid it across my desk. Security footage from my ship's black box. Notice the timestamp. Notice how Commander Threx's vessel disabled our engines, boarded us, and systematically executed my crew despite their surrender. Notice how he laughed while doing it. I watched the footage. My sensory stalks drooped. This was bad. This was very, very bad. Additionally, Marcus continued, pulling out another datapad. I have financial records showing this is the 17th merchant vessel Threx has destroyed in the past year. I have testimony from 14 survivors across various incidents. I have communication logs where he openly bragged about his actions to other officers. And I have this. He placed a final datapad on my desk. It showed Commander Threx in a bar, drunk out of his exoskeletal armor, telling a group of laughing Gordanians about how easy it was to terrorize human merchants because, and I quote, "Those soft-skinned weaklings can't do anything about it. The Council won't help them, and they are too afraid to break the Non-Aggression Accord." I felt ill. Mr. Webb, this is extremely troubling evidence. However, prosecuting a high-ranking Gordanian officer will take time. The diplomatic channels alone require— Oh, I'm not waiting for diplomatic channels. Marcus stood up, closing his briefcase with a soft click. I just wanted you to have this on file. For the record, what happens next? Well, that's completely legal under Council law. I checked extensively. My sensory stalk stood straight up. Alert. Alarmed. What exactly are you planning? Absolutely nothing violent. He walked toward the door, then paused. Turned back. Tell me something, Mediator Krell. Have you ever heard the human phrase, "the pen is mightier than the sword"? No, you will. He left. I immediately contacted my supervisor, filed an alert, requested surveillance on Marcus Webb. Something was wrong. Humans don't just walk away from that level of injustice. Not the ones I had met. They are passionate, emotional, prone to outbursts. But Marcus Webb looked calm, collected, like a predator who had just spotted prey. I should have stopped him right there. 3 days later, Commander Threx received a package at his military compound on Gordania Prime. It contained a single data chip and a handwritten note that said, "I know what you did. The galaxy will know soon. Tick-tock." That's all. No threats, no violence, just tick-tock. The Threx, being Threx, laughed it off, showed it to his officers, made jokes about paranoid humans. He threw the data chip away without even looking at it. Marcus had anticipated this. 5 days after the package, holographic billboards across 7 major trade stations began displaying something interesting. Commander Threx's face, his name, his rank, and beneath it a single line of text: "This officer murders unarmed civilians. Evidence available upon request." Threx was furious. He contacted the council, demanded the billboards be removed. We complied. They violated no laws, but we removed them as a courtesy to maintain diplomatic relations. Marcus simply moved to the next phase. Digital pamphlets. Millions of them. Sent to every registered ship captain, every merchant guild, every trading company in council space. Each pamphlet contained excerpts from the footage, carefully edited, perfectly legal, absolutely damning. It showed Threx executing surrendered crew members. It showed him laughing. It showed him bragging. And at the bottom of each pamphlet, a simple question: is this who protects our shipping lanes? The Gordanian embassy went ballistic. They accused Marcus of slander, of defamation, of psychological terrorism. Marcus responded by releasing his full evidence to every major news network in council space. 24 hours later, Commander Threx was the most hated being in 7 sectors. Watched this unfold from my office, fascinated and horrified in equal measure. Marcus Webb hadn't thrown a single punch, hadn't fired a single weapon, hadn't even raised his voice. He had simply told the truth, loudly, repeatedly, But he wasn't finished. Phase 3 began when Marcus hired a public relations firm, a really good one. They created a holographic documentary titled The Threx Files, a study in sanctioned murder. It was 2 hours long. It was professionally produced. It featured interviews with survivors, testimony from military analysts, financial breakdowns of stolen cargo, and it went viral. I mean, catastrophically viral. Every species, every station, every colony, everyone watched it. The documentary didn't call for violence, didn't demand execution. It simply asked over and over in various ways, if the council cannot protect us from people like Threx, what good is the council? Public pressure mounted. Protests erupted outside Gordanian facilities. Not violent protests, completely peaceful. Just thousands of beings holding signs that said things like, "Justice for the fallen," and "Threx must answer." The Gordanian government tried to suppress it, tried to discredit Marcus, tried to paint him as a warmonger, but Marcus had been so careful. Everything he released was verified. Every claim was documented. Every accusation was backed by irrefutable evidence. The Gordanians couldn't fight facts. 2 weeks after Marcus walked out of my office, Commander Threx was stripped of his rank and placed under military arrest. The Gordanian government, desperate to salvage their reputation, publicly apologized and promised a full investigation. Marcus Webb made one public statement. It was broadcast across every council channel. He stood in front of a camera wearing the same unremarkable clothes, holding the same briefcase, and said, "I am one man. I lost my crew. I lost my ship. I lost my livelihood. But I did not lose my voice, and in a society that has outlawed violence, a voice is the most powerful weapon you can wield." Commander Threx thought humans were weak because we follow the law. He was wrong. We are not weak. We are creative. And creativity, my friends, is far more dangerous than any gun. He smiled that same unsettling smile. To anyone else out there who thinks they can prey on humans because we won't fight back, let me be clear. We will fight back, just not the way you expect. We will bury you in truth. We will drown you in evidence. We will make you famous for all the wrong reasons. And we will do it all completely legally. Sweet dreams. The broadcast ended. I sat in my office, staring at the screen, feeling my sensory stalks curl in something between admiration and fear. Marcus Webb had just declared war. Not with weapons, not with violence, with information, with reputation, with public opinion. And he had won, but that was just the beginning. You see, other humans were watching, learning, taking note. Within a month, similar cases started appearing across council space. A Vezari crime lord who had been extorting human colonists suddenly found every illegal transaction he had ever made leaked to authorities. A Phylaxian corporate executive who had been cheating human workers found himself facing lawsuits in 17 different jurisdictions. Simultaneously, a Crothian gang that had been running protection rackets discovered that someone had tipped off their rivals, their suppliers, and the local police about their operations. All completely legal. All absolutely devastating. Humans had figured something out. Violence was outlawed, but humiliation, exposure, social destruction, those were perfectly acceptable under council law. They called it psychological warfare. I called it terrifying. 3 months after the Threx incident, I received another appointment request. Marcus Webb. Again, I almost declined. My third stomach was already churning in anticipation, but professional duty won out. I accepted. Marcus walked in looking even more ordinary than before. Same briefcase, same clothes, same disturbing smile. Mediator Krell. Good to see you again. Mr. Webb. I tried to keep my sensory stalks neutral. What can I do for you? I need your help with something. A new case. Of course. What's the complaint? Marcus opened his briefcase. This time it was filled with even more datapads. It's about the hegemony. My sensory stalks shot straight up. The hegemony? As in the Viridian hegemony. The Council's largest military alliance. That's the one. Mr. Webb, I really don't think. They have been conducting illegal weapons research on Outpost 74. Specifically, researching how to bypass the non-aggression accord. They are developing neural disruptors that cause pain without physical damage. Technically not violence, but absolutely against the spirit of the law. He slid 3 datapads across my desk. Technical specifications, financial records, intercepted communications. Where did you get this? I whispered. Let's just say, I have friends in low places. That smile. Always that smile. Now I could leak this immediately. 'Cause a massive scandal. Probably start a political crisis that would destabilize the council for years. Then why come to me? Because I'm not a monster, Krell. I don't want chaos. I want justice. I want the hegemony to shut down this program voluntarily. I want them to admit what they did. I want accountability. And if they refuse, Marcus closed his briefcase slowly, deliberately. Then I introduced them to the same process Commander Threx experienced. Except this time it won't be one officer. It will be an entire government. Every dirty secret, every illegal program, every corrupt official. All of it. Public, permanent, inescapable. I felt faint. That could destroy the hegemony. Yes, that could destabilize half the council. Also yes, that could start a war. A real war. Marcus stood up. No, Krell. It couldn't. Because violence is illegal, remember? The hegemony can't attack me. Can't silence me. Can't make me disappear. All they can do is answer for their crimes, or watch their reputation burn to ashes while I make popcorn and sell tickets. He walked to the door, then paused. You have 72 hours to convince the hegemony to cooperate. After that, well, I have a very large platform and a very complete collection of their dirty landly. Tick-tock, mediator. He left. Again, I immediately contacted the hegemony's diplomatic corps, arranged an emergency meeting, showed them the evidence, explained the situation, begged them to cooperate. They laughed at me. One human? The hegemony ambassador was a Viridian named Cathar. He was enormous, intimidating, and thoroughly convinced of his own superiority. You expect us to bow to one insignificant human? We are the hegemony. We control 40 systems. We have the largest fleet in council space. We fear nothing. Ambassador Cathar, I tried to keep my voice steady. I really think you should take this seriously. Marcus Webb has already destroyed Commander Threx's career. He has resources. He has skills. He has nothing we can't crush. Cathar leaned forward. Send him a message, mediator. Tell him the hegemony does not negotiate with terrorists. He's not a terrorist, he's just a pest, an annoyance, a small, soft creature pretending to have teeth. Cathar stood, his massive frame casting shadows across my office. We will handle Mr. Webb our way, through legal channels, through diplomatic pressure, through economic sanctions against any human interests we can target. Completely within the law, of course. Ambassador, please. This meeting is over. He left. I sat at my desk feeling my sensory stalks droop with dread. 72 hours later, Marcus Webb activated what he called Phase 1. It started small. A news article here, a leaked document there. Nothing major. Just enough to plant seeds of doubt, to make people ask questions. Phase 2 launched 48 hours after that. A comprehensive website went live. It was called hegemonyexposed.net. It contained everything. Every illegal program. Every falsified report. Every corrupt official. The site was hosted on 17 different servers across neutral space, impossible to shut down. Phase 3 was the documentary, another professionally produced holographic film. This one was 4 hours long. It was titled The Hegemony's Secret War, How Your Protectors Became Your Predators, and it was devastating. The documentary didn't just expose the illegal weapons program, it connected it to dozens of other violations. Unauthorized surveillance on allied species, embezzlement of council funds, blackmail operations against political rivals, all of it documented, all of it verified, all of it undeniable. The galaxy exploded. Protests erupted on every hegemony world. Allied governments demanded explanations. Trade partners suspended agreements. Council members called for investigations. The hegemony tried to fight back. They accused Marcus of fabricating evidence. They claimed he was working for their enemies. They insisted everything was a misunderstanding. Marcus responded by releasing raw, unedited footage. Thousands of hours of it. He invited independent investigators to verify every claim. He offered rewards for anyone who could prove any of his evidence was false. No one could. The hegemony's reputation collapsed in 6 days. 6. Political leaders resigned. Military officers were arrested. The hegemony's seat on the Council Security Committee was suspended pending investigation. Their economy went into freefall as trade partners fled, and Marcus Webb, the man who had done all this without firing a single shot, without throwing a single punch, without breaking a single law, gave one more interview. I want to be clear, he said, speaking to billions of viewers across council space. I take no joy in this. The hegemony could have avoided all of this. They could have admitted their mistakes, could have made amends, could have changed. They chose pride over accountability. They chose secrecy over transparency. They chose to call me a terrorist rather than examine their own actions. He paused, looked directly into the camera. This is the new reality. Humanity will not be victimized. We will not be silenced. We will not be ignored. You took away our ability to fight with fists. Fine, we will fight with facts. You banned weapons. Fine, we will weaponize truth. You wanted peace. Congratulations, you got it. But peace doesn't mean submission. It means accountability. That smile, that terrifying, unsettling smile. And humans are very, very good at holding people accountable. The interview ended. I sat in my office, watching the aftermath, understanding with horrible clarity what Marcus had done. He hadn't just exposed the hegemony. He had taught every human in council space exactly how to fight back. He had created a template, a roadmap, a manual for psychological warfare that any species could follow, but that humans, with their particular talent for creativity and communication, would excel at. Violence was outlawed. But psychological warfare? That was just getting started, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans might be physically weaker than most species, might be smaller, slower, less armored, but they had something far more dangerous. They had voices. They had persistence. They had an absolute bone-deep refusal to accept injustice quietly. 3 days later, I received my final communication from Marcus Webb. It was a simple text message. Thank you for trying to help, Mediator Krell. I know you did your best, but the Council needs to understand something. Humans won't be anyone's victims. Not anymore. Not ever. We didn't start this new kind of war, but we will sure as hell finish it. Respectfully, Marcus Webb. I saved that message, showed it to my supervisor. She read it. Her sensory stalks curled with the same mixture of admiration and fear I felt. "What have we done?" she whispered. "We outlawed violence thinking it would make everyone safer. But we just changed the battlefield." "Yes, and humans are adapting faster than anyone else." "Yes, Krell, this could change everything. If every species starts fighting like this, starts using information as a weapon, the entire social structure of the Council could collapse." I nodded slowly. My sensory stalks drooped with exhaustion. Or it could force us all to actually be honest, to actually be just, to actually hold each other accountable. Because now there's no hiding. Not from humans. They will find every secret, expose every crime, and they will do it all perfectly legally. My supervisor was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Do you think they realize how dangerous they have made themselves?" "I think Marcus Webb knows exactly what he's doing. Should we stop him?" "How?" I spread my manipulator appendages in helpless frustration. "He's not breaking any laws, he's just telling the truth." "Do we outlaw truth now?" Silence. Outside my window, I could see the council plaza. Normally it was peaceful. Today there were protesters. Hundreds of different species, all of them holding signs. All of them demanding accountability for various grievances. All of them using Marcus Webb's tactics. The revolution, I realized, had already begun. And somewhere out there, Marcus Webb was probably smiling. That same unsettling smile, the smile of someone who had just changed the entire galaxy without firing a single shot. I sent one final message to his communication address. I didn't expect a response. "Mr. Webb, you have started something unprecedented. I hope you know what you are doing. I hope this leads somewhere better. But mostly I hope you understand that you have made humanity both the most respected and the most feared species in council space. That's a dangerous position. Please be careful, Mediator Krell," he responded 3 minutes later. "Careful is boring. Besides, fear and respect are basically the same thing. People just hate admitting it. Don't worry, Mediator. We know exactly what we are doing. And it's going to be spectacular. Get some popcorn. The show's just getting started, Marcus." I closed my datapad, leaned back in my chair. Let my sensory stalks droop completely. The galaxy had outlawed violence. We thought we were creating peace. Instead, we had just given humanity the excuse to show everyone what they were really capable of. And the terrifying thing, this was only the beginning. 6 months after Marcus Webb turned the galaxy upside down, I was promoted. Yes, promoted. Apparently surviving contact with humanity's new approach to conflict resolution qualified as valuable experience. My new title was Senior Conflict Resolution Specialist, with special focus on non-traditional warfare tactics. In other words, I was now the Council's official human wrangler. Lucky me, my first assignment in this new role came on a Thursday. Thursdays, I had learned, were somehow worse than Tuesdays. The emergency alert came through at 0700 hours. Priority Alpha Council Security requesting immediate intervention. The subject line made my sensory stalks curl. Humanity has declared economic war on the Tervani Consortium. Situation critical. I teleported to the Council security chamber within minutes. The room was chaos. Absolute chaos. Representatives from 40 different species shouting over each other. Holographic displays showing market crashes, trade route disruptions, and what appeared to be a coordinated financial meltdown across an entire sector. Director Voss, a stern Peluvian with zero tolerance for nonsense, spotted me immediately. "Krell, thank the ancients. We need you to fix this. Now, what exactly is happening?" The humans have somehow convinced 372 independent shipping companies to simultaneously boycott all Tervani stations. They have launched a viral media campaign exposing labor violations in Tervani mining operations. They have organized consumer protests across 84 worlds, and they have done it all in 72 hours. Thus's facial chromatophores were flashing distress colors. The Tervani economy is in freefall. What did the Tervani do? Does it matter? Yes, I said firmly. It absolutely matters. Because if they did something that justified this response, then legally, there's nothing we can do to stop it. Vols pulled up a datapad, handed it to me reluctantly. I scanned the contents. My sensory stalks drooped. The Tervani Consortium had been using indentured servitude contracts to trap human colonists on mining worlds. The contracts were technically legal but absolutely predatory. Humans signed on for 5-year terms, but hidden clauses extended the terms indefinitely based on debt accumulation for basic necessities. Food, water, air, recycling. The humans couldn't afford to leave, couldn't afford to stay, couldn't afford to breathe without going deeper into debt. It was slavery with extra steps. How many humans are trapped in these contracts? I asked quietly. Approximately 8,000 across 17 mining colonies. And the Turvani refused to renegotiate? They claimed the contracts were legally binding under council commercial law. Technically they are correct. Technically correct is the worst kind of correct, I muttered, channeling something I had heard Marcus say once. Who organized the human response? Thus highlighted a name on the datapad. Her name is Diana Frost. Former corporate lawyer. Lost her daughter to a mining accident on Turvani Station 6. The Turvani refused compensation, citing contract clauses that waived their liability. Oh no. Oh no. Where is Diana Frost now? Unknown. She's been operating through encrypted channels, every move coordinated through anonymous networks. We can't track her, can't contact her, can't negotiate. You won't need to track her. I set down the datapad. She will come to you. They always do. Humans like the dramatic reveal.
I was right.
3 hours later, Diana Frost walked into the council security chamber wearing a black suit, carrying a briefcase, and sporting the same unsettling smile Marcus Webb had perfected. Humans apparently taught that smile to each other. Wonderful. Director Voss, Diana said pleasantly, thank you for seeing me. Miss Frost, you need to call off your boycott immediately. You are destabilizing an entire economic sector. No, just no. Simple, direct, absolutely terrifying in its finality. Voss's chromatophores flashed angry red. This is not a negotiation. The council demands nothing from me. Diana's smile never wavered. I am a private citizen, exercising my legal right to organize peaceful protests and coordinate voluntary economic actions. Everything I have done is protected under council free commerce and free speech laws. You can't stop me. We can impose sanctions. On what? I don't have any assets you can freeze. I don't have any trade agreements you can cancel. I already lost everything when your legally binding contracts killed my daughter. Her smile finally dropped. The expression underneath was worse, much worse. So go ahead, sanction me. See if I care. Miss Frost, I interjected carefully, what would it take for you to end the boycott? Simple. The Turvani release every human from their indentured contracts immediately. They provide full compensation for all debts accrued. They publicly apologize for their exploitation. And they reform their labor practices under independent council oversight. That's completely unreasonable, the Turvani ambassador sputtered. He was a bloated, multi-eyed creature named Gorvath. Those contracts represent billions of credits and investments. We have Kasser. We have obligation. Diana turned to him slowly. You had my daughter. She was 23. She wanted to be a doctor. She signed a 5-year contract, thinking she could earn enough for medical school. Instead, she worked herself to death in your mines because she couldn't afford the oxygen surcharge you imposed. That's unfortunate, but business is about to get much worse for you, Ambassador Gorvath. Diana opened her briefcase. Because I didn't just organize a boycott. I did my research. Extensively. And I did something fascinating. She pulled out a datapad, then another, then 6 more. The Turvani Consortium has been falsifying safety reports for 12 years. You have been dumping toxic waste on unmonitored worlds. You have been bribing council inspectors. You have been operating illegal mining operations in protected zones. And you have been doing it all while claiming to be a respectable, law-abiding corporation. Gorvath's multiple eyes went wide. You can't prove. I already did. Diana smiled again. That horrible smile. I sent everything to the Council Ethics Committee, the Galactic Trade Commission, and 347 major news networks. It will go public in about, 30 seconds. Right on cue, emergency alerts started flashing across every datapad in the chamber. The Turvani scandal was live. Gorvath made a sound somewhere between a gurgle and a shriek. You have destroyed us. No, you destroyed yourselves. I just made sure everyone knew about it. Diana closed her briefcase. You have 24 hours to meet my demands. After that, I release Phase 2. There's a Phase 2. Voss looked physically ill. There's always a Phase 2. Diana walked toward the door, paused. Oh, and Ambassador Gorvath? I found the communication logs where you personally approved lowering oxygen levels in the mines to reduce costs. That's not just negligence. That's premeditated murder. I have forwarded those logs to the Council Justice Department. Expect charges. Multiple charges. She left. The chamber erupted into chaos again. The Tervani Consortium collapsed within a week. Their stock value dropped 97%. Their board of directors resigned en masse. Criminal investigations were launched across 20 jurisdictions, and every single human was released from their contracts with full compensation. Diana Frost disappeared after that. No interviews. No public statements, just gone. But her tactics spread. Fast. Suddenly, every human who had been wronged, cheated, exploited, or ignored started following the same playbook. Research. Document. Expose. Destroy. All completely legal. All absolutely devastating. A Crothian smuggling ring that had been trafficking human children found themselves trending on every social network in council space. The public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. The Crothians were arrested within 48 hours. A Vakazari pharmaceutical company that had been price gouging human colonies for essential medications discovered that someone had leaked their internal profit margins. The resulting consumer revolt forced them to drop prices by 80% or face complete bankruptcy. A Phylaxian diplomat, who had been accepting bribes to ignore human complaints, found every transaction, every secret account, every dirty deal exposed in excruciating detail. His career ended before lunch. Humans weren't just fighting back anymore. They were winning. Consistently. Overwhelmingly. And the rest of the galaxy was terrified. Emergency council sessions became daily occurrences. Everyone wanted to know how to stop this new form of warfare. But there was no legal framework for it. Humans weren't breaking laws, they were weaponizing them. We need regulations. A Blorgian counselor insisted during one particularly heated session. We need restrictions on information dissemination. We need controls on economic coordination. You want to outlaw free speech and free commerce? I asked carefully. Because that's what you are suggesting. We need to do something. This is out of control. No, I said firmly, surprising myself. This is accountability. For the first time in council history, the powerful are facing consequences for their actions. Yes, it's chaotic. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But it's also justice. Whose side are you on, Krell? I'm on the side of not being a hypocrite. I stood up, letting my sensory stalks wave emphatically. We outlawed violence, claiming we wanted peace and justice. Humans are delivering exactly that. If you don't like their methods, then maybe stop giving them reasons to use them. Silence. Uncomfortable, angry silence. But I was right. Deep down, everyone knew it. The galaxy needed to change. Humans were just forcing the issue. My next encounter with humanity's psychological warfare came from an unexpected source. His name was Tommy Park. He was 12 years old. Yes, 12. Tommy's school on a mixed-species colony station had been experiencing severe bullying. The victims were primarily human children. The bullies were mostly Crothian and Gordanian youth whose parents taught them that humans were weak prey. Tommy's younger sister had been hospitalized after a particularly brutal incident. The station authorities did nothing, claimed it was just kids being kids. Told the human families to toughen up. Bad decision. Very bad decision. Tommy did what humans do best. He documented everything. Used his datapad to record every incident of bullying, every slur, every attack, every time the authorities ignored complaints. He compiled months of footage. Then he edited it into a 30-minute documentary titled Children of the Lesser Species, Systemic Bullying in Station 17 Education Center. He posted it on every social network accessible to minors across council space. Within 48 hours, 20 million children had watched it. Their parents watched it next. Then their communities. Then their governments. The outrage was nuclear. The station authorities were fired. The bullies' parents faced social services investigations. New anti-bullying protocols were implemented across 300 colony stations, and Tommy Park became a galactic celebrity among human youth. He gave exactly one interview. It was broadcast to every school in council space. Adults always tell kids to use their words, not violence, Tommy said, looking remarkably composed for a 12-year-old. Well, I used my words. I used evidence. I used truth. And it worked better than any punch ever could. So here's my message to every kid out there being bullied. Document everything. Tell everyone. Make noise. Make them listen. Because we are not helpless. We are just creative. That smile. That same smile Marcus Webb and Diana Frost had used. Tommy Park was 12, and he already understood psychological warfare better than most military strategists. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about current conflicts anymore. This was generational. Human children were learning these tactics from birth. They were growing up understanding that information was power, that truth was a weapon, that accountability was achievable. In 20 years, 30 years, when these children became adults, the galaxy was going to be a very different place. I reported this to Director Voss. She read my analysis with growing horror. They are teaching their children to fight wars without violence. They are teaching their children to fight injustice without violence. I corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like humanity is training an entire generation of psychological warriors. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs. Voss stared at me. You have changed, Krell. The galaxy changed. I'm just adapting. I paused. Director, I have been thinking, what if we are approaching this wrong? What if instead of trying to stop humanity's methods, we try to learn from them? Explain. The Council has always relied on violence as the ultimate deterrent, military power, the threat of force. But that's gone now. We need new systems. New accountability measures. What if we embraced human tactics as the new standard? Mandatory transparency, public evidence repository, independent investigation protocols. Make it impossible to hide corruption because the systems themselves prevent it. Voss was quiet for a long moment. That would require completely restructuring council governance. Yes, it would eliminate privacy for officials. Good. Public servants shouldn't have privacy regarding their public duties. It would make every species as vulnerable to exposure as the Tervani and the Hegemony were. Also good. Maybe that will encourage better behavior. Voss's chromatophores flickered through several colors I couldn't identify. Finally, she said, you realize if we propose this, half the council will fight us. Half the council is corrupt. Let them fight. I'm tired of enabling bad behavior because it's convenient. And that's how I accidentally started a political revolution. Voss and I drafted a comprehensive reform proposal. We called it the Transparency Accord. It mandated public records for all government officials, established independent oversight committees with teeth, created protected channels for whistleblowers, and implemented mandatory evidence disclosure for all legal proceedings. Basically, we institutionalized Marcus Webb's tactics. The proposal faced immediate opposition. Predictably, the most corrupt species fought hardest. They claimed it violated privacy, claimed it was unfair, claimed it would make governance impossible, but they couldn't say the quiet part out loud. They couldn't admit they opposed it because it would expose their crimes. The human delegation, led by an older woman named Rita Valdez, gave the most important speech I have ever witnessed. Honorable council members, Rita began, her voice carrying across the massive chamber. My species has been accused of starting a war, of weaponizing information, of attacking the foundations of galactic society. And you are right, we did all of that. Do you know why? Silence. Because you forced us to. When violence was legal, we were prey. We are smaller, weaker, slower than most of you. So we developed other strengths. Intelligence, creativity, communication. Then you outlawed violence and thought that made you civilized. But you left all the other ways to hurt people intact. Exploitation, corruption, systemic injustice. You just made them legal. Rita's expression hardened. You didn't create peace. You created a paradise for bullies who were smart enough to follow the letter of the law while violating its spirit. So yes, we fought back, and we will keep fighting back. But here's the thing. We don't want to fight. We want justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't require someone like Marcus Webb or Diana Frost or Tommy Park to sacrifice everything just to force accountability. She held up a datapad. This Transparency Accord, it's a peace offering. It's humanity saying we want to be part of the system instead of constantly fighting against it. But if you reject this, if you choose corruption over accountability, then understand what comes next. We won't stop. We will never stop. Every crime will be exposed. Every criminal will be identified. Every corruption will be brought to light. And we will do it all legally, enthusiastically and relentlessly. That smile, Rita had it too. Every human leader apparently inherited it. So choose wisely. Work with us, or become our next documentary. Sincerely, Humanity. The vote took place 3 days later. The Transparency Accord passed by a narrow margin. 73% in favor, 27% against, but notably, none of those voting against could articulate a good reason beyond vague concerns about efficiency. The accord would take years to fully implement, but it passed. That was the important part. After the vote, I found Marcus Webb waiting outside my office. He looked the same, unremarkable clothes. Briefcase. That smile. "Congratulations, Mediator Krell," he said. "You changed the galaxy." "We changed it," I corrected. "Your tactics started this." "True, but you legitimized them. You made them official council policy. That's huge." "I just wanted to prevent another you from being necessary." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "You can't prevent people like me, Krell. Injustice creates people like me, always has, always will. But maybe now there will be less injustice. That's worth something. Why are you here, Mr. Webb?" "To say thank you, and to give you this." He handed me a data chip. It's a manual. Everything I learned about psychological warfare, every tactic, every strategy, every legal loophole. I have shared it with every human organization that fights for justice. But I wanted you to have a copy too. "Why would I need this?" "Because you are going to train council mediators in these techniques. Someone has to. Might as well be you." Marcus turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Krell, one more thing. Tell the council that Humanity appreciates the Transparency Accord, but we will be watching to make sure it's enforced. We are very good at watching." He left. I looked at the data chip in my manipulator appendage. It was labeled simply "The Truth Weapon, a Human's Guide to Nonviolent Warfare." I loaded it onto my datapad, started reading. By page 3 I was simultaneously impressed and horrified. By page 20 I understood why humans had been so successful. By page 50 I realized that this manual would reshape galactic conflict for generations. Marcus Webb hadn't just fought back against injustice. He had codified the methodology, made it reproducible, made it teachable. He had created a legacy. 5 years later I stood in front of a classroom of new council mediators. 17 species represented 83 students total, all of them eager, idealistic, ready to make a difference. "Today," I began, "we are going to discuss something called psychological warfare. It's not pretty, it's not comfortable, but it's necessary. Because in a galaxy that outlawed violence, information became the ultimate weapon, and you need to understand how to use it, defend against it, and most importantly, how to recognize when it's necessary." I pulled up an image of Marcus Webb. This is the human who changed everything. His name is Marcus Webb. Remember it. Study him. Learn from him. Because he understood something the rest of us missed. Justice doesn't require violence. It requires truth, persistence, and the courage to make people uncomfortable. One student, a young Blorgian, raised their appendage. "But sir, isn't psychological warfare still warfare? Isn't it still harmful?" "Yes," I said honestly. "It is. People lose careers. Reputations are destroyed. Entire organizations collapse. But ask yourself this. Is that worse than the alternative? Is exposing corruption worse than allowing it to continue? Is revealing truth worse than protecting lies?" Silence. "Humans didn't invent injustice," I continued. "We all did. Every species, every government, every system. Humans just refused to accept it quietly. And now, thanks to the Transparency Accord, we are all learning to do better, to be better." That's Marcus Webb's real legacy. Not the conflicts he started, but the accountability he forced upon us all. I smiled, feeling my sensory stalks wave with something like hope. "So when you go out there as mediators, remember, your job isn't to prevent conflict. Your job is to ensure conflict remains non-violent, legal, and just. Sometimes that means facilitating difficult conversations. Sometimes that means exposing uncomfortable truths. And sometimes that means looking a criminal in the eye and saying, 'We know what you did and the galaxy will know too.'" The students looked simultaneously inspired and terrified. Perfect. That meant they understood. After class I received a message. It was from an unknown sender. No identification, no signature, just one line. Nice speech. You are finally getting it. Keep teaching them. The galaxy needs more truth-tellers. Marcus. I smiled. My sensory stalks curled with satisfaction. The galaxy had outlawed violence, thinking it would bring peace. Instead, it brought humanity's brand of justice. Loud, relentless, uncomfortable justice. The kind that exposed every crime, challenged every injustice, and refused to stay silent. Was it perfect? No. Was it sometimes excessive? Absolutely. But it was better than what came before. The powerful could no longer hide. The corrupt could no longer escape. The bullies could no longer prey on the weak, because humanity had shown everyone that violence wasn't the only weapon. Truth was sharper, information was more powerful, and accountability, real accountability, was the most devastating force in the galaxy. They outlawed violence, so humans invented psychological warfare, and in doing so, they saved us all from ourselves. My third stomach churned contentedly. My sensory stalks waved with genuine peace. The galaxy was safer now, more just, more transparent, all because one human refused to accept injustice quietly. All because Marcus Webb understood that the pen truly was mightier than the sword. And somewhere out there, in the vast expanse of council space, humans were still watching, still documenting, still ready to expose the next corruption, the next injustice, the next criminal who thought they were above accountability. The war wasn't over. It would never be over. But at least now it was a war worth fighting. A war for truth, for justice, for a galaxy where power couldn't hide from consequences, and humanity, those small, soft, supposedly weak creatures, they were winning, one truth at a time.